right, everyone, the Trump administration is receiving a whole lot of backlash in the wake of the abrupt departure of White House National Security Advisor Mike Flynn. The retired general resigned from his position in the Trump administration after misleading Vice President Mike Pence about the nature of his phone calls with the Russian ambassador. I'm here with Fox News military analyst Jack Keane for his view on all this. Curious to get your take. What's your thought, General?
Well, I know Mike Flynn very well. I mean, he made a serious mistake in judgment. I mean, misrepresenting the discussion he had with the Russian ambassador to a vice president to others is the serious mistake. And certainly the president has a right not to want to overlook it. And only he can decide, do I have a trust issue with him or not? And if he does, and if his vice president certainly thinks he does, then he made a decision that he had to make. And it's unfortunate we're 3 weeks into administration, we've already lost a national security advisor. That is not good. And we'll bring somebody else in who'll probably put together another team, which will be disruptive in of itself. So just another speed bump, another hurdle to have to get through. Yeah, right. I mean, to think that, and Judy Miller was saying this earlier, it's somewhat surreal that Prime Minister Netanyahu arrives and you can't sit down with your national security advisor and greet him and talk about the plan. But I imagine he'll get someone in there quickly. He'll get someone in soon. Any idea who's on the short list? Well, I think the media is reporting the three people, Kellogg, who's the chief of staff in the NSC, Petraeus, and Admiral Harward. I know Petraeus very well, and I think it would be exceptional, and he would have the stature to step in at a crisis moment like this, where Democrats and Republicans would have some confidence that this guy knows what he's doing.
Let me turn to this ship that's right off the coast of Connecticut right now, actually off of Groton, Connecticut, not too far from New York City, just 30 miles away there off the coast of Connecticut. It's there amid new reports showing that the Russian military is also acting in violation of a Cold War missile treaty. How unusual is this for a Russian spy ship to be just off the coast of Connecticut? Or is this the kind of thing that kind of just happens all the time? I mean, we, after all, right, had some ships over there in the Baltic Sea. They buzzed those ships quite closely to sort of give us a warning. Is this sort of a tit-for-tat thing that's going on?
Well, routinely, the Russians spy on us off our coast using submarines. And we do the same to them. This goes on all the time. And up in Groton, Connecticut, by the way, is a company called Electric Boat, which builds nuclear power submarines, and they're building a new missile submarine.
So you think the Russians want intelligence on that?
They're probably collecting on it. But listen, why a surface ship? Because they normally don't do that. The surface ship is there because they want the publicity. They want everybody to do what we're doing, to talk about this, and it's a bit of a test for the Trump administration. This event, the cruise missile, which is pretty serious, and so our viewers understand the Russians have developed a cruise missile that you can put a nuclear weapon on it. And once you do that, that's a tactical nuclear weapon that is forbidden by the START disarmament treaty. And we got rid of all of our tactical nuclear weapons, and the Russians got rid of theirs. Now they have new ones, and that is a huge, serious problem.
Okay, so they're sending us a signal.
Clear message.
What do we do? What should we do?
Well, first of all, the Russians have been aggressive and assertive for some time. They took huge advantage of President Obama these last 8 years. I think they actually intimidated him. They're strengthening their position in eastern Ukraine as we speak. They're in a military alliance with the Iranians inside Syria, and they want to cooperate with the Iranians as they begin to dominate and control the Middle East. They want a Navy base in Yemen. Listen to that. And if the Iranians continue to be able to dominate that government, that's what the Russians will get. So Russia is trying to replace the United States in the Middle East as the most influential nation, and they're in an alliance with Iran to do it. We have to recognize, Trish, seriously, what the Russians are truly about. They are trampling on U.S. national interests and the interests of our allies.
So assuming we recognize all that, in the meantime, we got them flaunting this ship off the coast of Connecticut. I mean, how do we say, okay, you got 5 hours to get that thing out? I mean, what do you do?
No, they have a right to be there. They're in international waters, so they have a right to be there. And we do much the same to them. This is really letting Mr. Trump know that we're here. And we intend to be here. He wants all the media coverage of it.
You know, I guess he's been awfully nice to them. And this is how you get repaid?
Well, I've been surprised by why he hasn't called out Putin for what he really is. Maybe he's going to try to do two things. One, engage him, but also be willing to confront and deter him. That is what I want to see. And it's the confront and deter that's got to be done.
General Jack Keane, thank you so much.
Good talking to you, Trish.